Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good morning. The devotional today will be led by Tamara Aguirre, who is an educator from Burlington.
Good morning. It is an honor to stand here today as a special education teacher, as an immigrant from Mexico, and as someone who has learned that every human being carries a story we cannot see. In Mexico, there is a word we carry close to the heart, apapacho. It is often translated as a hug, but its true meaning is deeper. Apapacho comes from our indigenous word, papocha, which means an act of love that comforts the soul. An apapacho is not just a touch. It is presence. It is the quiet warmth that tells someone you are seen, you are valued, you are not alone. As leaders today, I invite you to imagine laws that feel like an apapacho. Laws that do more than structure a society, but gently hold it. Laws that move beyond rules and reach into the human experience, reminding people that even in their most fragile moments, they are here and they matter. Because behind every decision lives a story, and even in this chamber, care can be written into the world. If you're in this room with me, it means that your mission is the same as mine as a teacher. We were born to make others shine. Where there is policy, let it be also compassion. Where there is a structure, let it also be humanity. May your work hold place for people. May your decision reflect care and not only efficiency. And may the impact of what you do here reach people not only in policy, but in how deeply how they are valued. Thank you for your service and for allowing me to share this moment with you.
Will you please rise as Pages Kira Hall Martell of Fairleigh and Leah Tarrant of Montpelier lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, we have a bill on the notice calendar requiring referral to a money committee pursuant to House Rule 35A. Senate Bill 243 is an act relating to distributing funds to the Vermont Language Justice Project. Carrying an appropriation, the bill is referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Members, we received requests to read two House concurrent resolutions that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. The first is HCR 251, which is a House concurrent resolution congratulating the 2026 Lamoille Union High School Lancers Division II Championship Boys Basketball Team. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas the second-ranked Lamoille Lancers and the top-seeded Hartford Hurricanes tipped off for the Division II title at the Barry Auditorium, a match of two teams hungry for a championship, which Hartford had not won since 1929, and although the former Lamoille Academy won the Division IV Boys Basketball Championship in 1963, Lamoille Union High School had, prior to 2026, never clinched this athletics laurel. And whereas breaking Hartford's season-long undefeated streak and defeating the team that had halted Lamoille's postseason aspirations in the quarterfinal round in both 2024 and 2025 were strong incentives for the Lancers boys. And whereas a game with greater excitement was not imaginable, as Lamoille secured a slim 28-27 halftime lead, and the teams were tied at 40-all at the fourth quarter's start. And with approximately 2.5 minutes of regulation play remaining, the Lancers pulled ahead 50-49, and the tension-packed final moments concluded with a 56-53 Lancers upset victory. And whereas the ecstatic Lancers were Braden LaFountain, Grayson Stridsberg, Griffin Pinot, Jeremy Demers, Ryan Clark, Colby Hall, Isaac Schroeder, Caleb Wells, Ryan Germain, James Wallace, Jackson Hogue, and Nicholas Bothfield. And whereas head coach Josie Crittenden, assistant coaches Rick Sansom and Evan Slayton, athletic trainer Vin Faraci, and student managers Peyton Skiffington and Kirsten Whitney all savored this historic moment for the Lancers boys basketball. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly congratulates the 2026 Lamoille Union High School Lancers Division II Championship boys basketball team. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Lamoille Union High School.
Next is HCR 281, which is a House concurrent resolution in memory of former Representative and Moortown and Brandon Select Board member Stephen Andrew Carr.
Whereas Rutland native Steve Carr was raised in Brandon, a member of the first class to attend the new Otter Valley Union High School, and earned a bachelor's degree from the former Castleton State College. And whereas after his college graduation, Steve Carr joined the staff of the former Chittenden Bank, proved adept at his duties, and earned positions as a senior vice president at the bank's Montpelier and Waitsfield branches. And whereas in 1981, he became senior vice president and senior loan officer at the former First National Brandon Bank, and in 1997, he opened an independent financial consulting business. And whereas during his Washington County residency, Steve Carr served on the select board in Moortown and later in Brandon. And whereas his Western Vermont community involvement included serving on the boards of Porter Hospital and BROC Community Action, and as president of the local Visiting Nurses Association and the Brandon Industrial Corporation. And his 1982 commencement of writing the Brandon Workbook launched a nearly 40-year economic development odyssey, which evolved into the Segment 6 project that received federal funding in 2005, came to fruition following the devastating impact in Brandon of Tropical Storm Irene, and was ultimately completed in 2020. And whereas as a passionate golfer, Steve Carr was a pivotal leader and volunteer developer of the Neshobe Golf Club, and culturally, he was associated with the Stephen A. Douglas birthplace and the Friends of Otter Valley Music. And whereas in 2012, the voters of Rutland 6 House District elected Steve Carr to the first of 3 consecutive terms to the House of Representatives, where he served on the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development from 2013 to 2016, and ably chaired the Committee on Energy and Technology from 2017 to 2018. And the Carr family's presence returned to the State House in 2024 when his granddaughter, James Ashley Carr, was honored to serve as a legislative page. And whereas Steve Carr was a well-liked and respected member of the People's House who served his community with distinction and honor, and his death on April 12, 2026, at 76 years of age, saddened his many friends, and especially his wife of 47 years, Jane Ellen, their children and grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives and the Senate that the General Assembly extends its sincere sympathies to the family of former Representative and Moortown and Brandon Select Board member Stephen Andrew Carr, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the family of Steve Carr.
Are there any announcements? A member from Essex Junction. Member from Essex.
Gracias, Madam Speaker. I want to wish everybody a very, very happy Cinco de Mayo. This is a really special celebration all over this country, wherever there are people of Mexican ancestry, and there are many of us. And we are loud, so you know whenever we're around. This is actually not Mexican Independence Day. It is rather a celebration of one successful moment of resistance in a long, long history of resistance by Mexico to find its freedom and to keep it. In this case, it was a battle against the Napoleonic forces, the strongest army in the world that had come across the ocean to claim Mexico back into a colonial empire after it had earned its independence, 10 years of fighting. People with pitchforks and kitchen implements fought back the strongest army on the planet at that time in a victory in the city of Puebla, which is where my family is from. And so today I had wanted to invite somebody who could speak to that strength and that love for freedom and for building community. And so today you heard a devotional given by Tamara Aguirre Torres. She is the best of what Mexico sends to this country. She is an educator, a psychologist, and a special education professional. She's originally from Mexico City, which is where my mother was born. She holds a master's degree in special education and has worked for several years supporting students with diverse learning, emotional, and developmental needs. She is an angel who walks among us. She is an immigrant and bilingual educator. Tamara brings a perspective shaped by language, culture, resilience, and community. Her work focuses on trauma-informed education, disability advocacy, and creating school environments where students and families feel seen, supported, and valued. And she brought with her a whole crew, and they're up in the balcony, and I'm just gonna quickly go through because it is such an honor for me to have them here with us. They invited me just a few weeks ago to give a presentation about what the legislature does, and I was so proud to be able to do it in Spanish for these wonderful, wonderful ELL students. Their chaperones include Diego Nava Alvarez, Tamara Aguirre Torres, Ana Vitz, Kim Frankhauser, and Mario Govea, and the students are, and I will say this quickly, with glasses. Kayla, Zaira, Brittany, Alan, Gladys, Jennifer, Sebastian, Alexis, Genesis, Marjorie, Irma, Joan, Daniela, Jenny, Alison, Nasheli, Jami, Evelyn, and Janadi. And I think there are even more. They're here with us from Edmonds Elementary and I think Burlington High School as well. Will you please help me welcome them? They are up in the gallery, and our wonderful devotional speaker, Tamara, is seated behind you, Madam Speaker.
Will the guest of the member from Essex please rise and be recognized? Member from Essex Junction.
Madam Speaker, we just heard the resolution in memory of Steve Carr, honoring his work in and dedication to his community and here in the State House. With us today is his wife, Jane, his son, John, and daughter-in-law, Emily, granddaughters, James, Ashley, and Scarlett, siblings, Mary, Bernie, Mark, and Mark's wife, Sherry, and Steve's sister and brother-in-law, Mary and Chris Stone. Please join me in welcoming Steve's family to the People's House.
Will the guest of the member from Essex Junction please rise and be recognized? Member from Cambridge.
Madam Speaker, we just heard the resolution congratulating the 2026 Lamoille Union High School Lancers Division II Championship Boys Basketball Team. The Lancers delivered a determined and resilient performance in a tightly contested game to secure the 56-53 championship victory. The state title win is the very first for the Lamoille Union Boys Basketball Team. The team and their coaches are seated in the balcony. Please join me in welcoming them to the People's House.
Will the guest of the member from Cambridge please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Morristown.
going to wait until after, but I'll just do it now so I don't forget. Madam Speaker, I just want to remind the body that tonight is a very special event and to please join us here in the chamber at 4 p.m. for the unveiling of the portrait of former Representative Louvenia Dorsey Bright, who was the first Black woman to serve in the Vermont legislature. This is a historic moment for us, and I hope you all can be here. There will be a reception following in the Cedar Creek.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Essex.
Members, today is the day. Please join 3 dogs from Therapy Dogs of Vermont on the State House portico from 12 o'clock to 1:30. We will be joined by Charlie and his human, Paul Kissel of Shelburne, Taffy and her human, Callie Flickinger of Shelburne, and Sam and his human, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Linda Purdy of Moortown. Hope you can get to the portico for a little joy, comfort, and stress relief from the team of certified therapy dogs. They will be excited to make a little magic with warm fur and wagging tails. Hope to see you there.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Oh, member from Brattleboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Regarding the unveiling today, the state curator asked that if people are not going to be here for the unveiling, please put a sign on your desk saying available, because there may be other guests who would like to come. So if you're here, don't worry about it. If you're going to be here, if you know you're not going to be here, please put a note on your desk. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Cambridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Rural Caucus will meet tomorrow morning from 8 to 8:45 in room 10, And on Zoom, we'll be hearing from we'll be hearing about the state plan on aging from the Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living. All are welcome.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Orders of the day. Members, we will begin with Senate Bill 222, which is an act relating to water quality of the waters of Vermont. The bill was referred to the Committee on Environment, which recommends that the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as printed in today's calendar. The member from Hartford, Representative Hoyt, will speak for the committee. And then carrying an appropriation, the bill was referred to the Committee on Appropriations, which recommends that the report of the Committee on Environment be amended as printed in today's calendar. The member from Underhill, Representative Squirrel, will speak for that committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
S223, an act relating to water quality of the waters of Vermont.
Member from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. S223 is a bill relating to water quality of the waters of Vermont. It creates the Water Quality Lake Classification Anti-Degradation Study Group to evaluate whether the state is meeting its legal obligations under Vermont statute and the Federal Clean Water Act to protect our waters, provide regulatory certainty, and support public uses of state waters. It also tasks the Agency of Natural Resources with submitting a report to the General Assembly on whether it should establish a certification program for wetlands professionals. For a little background about how waters are classified in Vermont, all waters are required by statute to be classified. Statute establishes 4 classifications. There's A1, A2, B1, and B2. A1 waters are waters in natural condition that have significant ecological value. A2 waters are suitable as a public water source and have a uniformly excellent character. B1 waters are waters that have one or more uses that are of higher quality than Class B2 waters. So not particularly helpful there, but B2 waters are waters that are suitable for swimming and recreation, irrigation and agriculture, boating and fishing, and suitable as a public water source with treatment. So basically, B2 is kind of like the default water. The classifications are made on the quality of the water, and higher quality waters have different regulations to protect their uses. Like I said, by statute, all waters start out as B2 waters. If the water is of a higher quality, ANR is supposed to adopt a rule to reclassify the water. The problem that's happened and that we're trying to fix with this study group is that there are many waters in the state that qualify for Class A classification, but they've not been classified or reclassified. So this puts these waters at risk of being mismanaged or not receiving the protections that they should. The study group will review whether existing waters should be reclassified and identify any current regulatory issues preventing their reclassification. So that's ultimately the goal, is to make sure that waters are properly classified and waters that are of a higher quality receive the protections that they deserve. Also, the Federal Clean Water Act requires states to manage their water so they do not degrade in quality. This is the anti-degradation policy. The state has an anti-degradation policy in the Vermont Water Quality Standards Rule, but it does not provide enough detail on how the anti-degradation policy should be implemented. The General Assembly required the Agency of Natural Resources to adopt an anti-degradation policy by rule, and it did that in 2009. So we're still waiting. It's been 18 years. So the study group will review Vermont's obligations under the Clean Water Act to implement the anti-degradation policy and how it could be accomplished. One final thing, water classifications are not made on the type of body of water, like a river versus a lake, but by the uses of the water that the water supports. So drinking water, for example, recreation, and others. Other states regulate lakes differently than other waters due to unique challenges such as invasive species. The study group will review whether the current classification system for lakes and ponds is sufficient and properly protecting the water quality in those waters. Finally, S223 directs the Agency of Natural Resources to study whether to establish a program to certify wetlands professionals in the state for the purposes of identifying and delineating wetlands boundaries. All right, and here's where the full report gets very exciting, because I'm going to walk through the committee's strike all amendment that can be found on page 2349 of today's calendar. So section 1, subsection A, that creates the Water Quality, Lake Classification, and Anti-Degradation Study Group. Subsection B establishes the membership of the group. 2 members of the House of different political parties, 2 members of the Senate of different political parties, the Secretary of the Agency of Natural Resources or designee, a Department of Environmental Conservation Water Quality Scientist or technical staff member, 2 members representing business, industries, or development that interact with water quality permitting, 2 persons representing nonprofit environmental advocacy groups, 1 person representing the Federation of Vermont Lakes and Ponds, and 1 person representing the Green Mountain Water Environment Association. Subsection C establishes the powers and duties of the study group. So the group will develop an inventory of the waters of the state using the existing classifications, including candidate high-quality waters with data supporting their reclassification. The group will assess the state's obligations under the Clean Water Act with respect to adopting an anti-degradation rule and identify any legal, administrative, policy, or practical barriers to compliance. The group will identify and evaluate the statutory and regulatory frameworks, rules, policies, and procedures governing Class A waters, including whether modifications are needed to facilitate reclassification. It will also evaluate the existing classification system and related statutory and regulatory frameworks, whether they adequately address current and potential threats to the water quality of the state's lakes and ponds. Finally, the group will recommend legislative amendments and identify any rules or policies that may need revision to implement the study group's recommendations. Subsection D provides the study group with the administrative, technical, and legal assistance of the Agency of Natural Resources and the legal and drafting assistance of Legislative Counsel. This bill requires the study group to issue a report to the General Assembly on or before December 15th, 2026. It also sets up some rules for the meetings. So it states that the Secretary of Natural Resources shall call the first meeting on or before August 1st, 26, that a chair shall be selected from the 4 legislative members, that a majority of the group constitutes a quorum, and that the group shall cease to exist on February 15th, 2027. The bill also states that the legislative members shall be entitled to per diem compensation and reimbursement of expenses for not more than 8 meetings, and that non-legislative members are entitled to per diem compensation and reimbursement pursuant to 32 VSA Section 1010 for not more than 8 meetings as well. Section 2 of the bill that states that the per diem compensation and reimbursement is contingent on funding. Section 3. This section requires A&R to report to the House Committee on Environment and the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Energy on or before January 15th, 27, on whether to establish a program to certify wetlands professionals in the state for the purposes of identifying and delineating wetlands boundaries. The report shall describe the benefits and disadvantages of such a certification program. So that's sort of the threshold question. Are there benefits and disadvantages to doing this? If the Agency of Natural Resources recommends establishing a certification program, the report shall also include a description of the program, proposed requirements for certification, a description of the activities a certified wetlands professional would be authorized to conduct as part of or exclusively under a certification, and what benefits, if any, a certified professional would provide to customers or in regulatory proceedings. In developing the report, ANR shall consult with wetlands professionals who currently conduct wetlands delineations and other persons with knowledge of wetlands permitting and services provided by wetlands professionals. Section 4 is the effective date, and the bill is effective on passage. So that's the basic gist of the bill. The main idea is that there are waters in the state that aren't receiving adequate protection because we're not reclassifying them, and that we're not also taking steps required of us under the Clean Water Act to put an anti-degradation policy into rule. So the idea is that this study group is going to help us understand how we can do that more efficiently and identify any barriers that have prevented us from doing so. Madam Speaker, the Environment Committee heard from a senior fellow from the Conservation Law Foundation, an ecologist and project manager from Arrowwood Environmental, an attorney and partner from MMR, the Science and Restoration Director from the Vermont Natural Resources Council, the Policy and Water Program Director from the Vermont Natural Resources Council, the Deputy Secretary for the Agency of Natural Resources, General Counsel for the Agency of Natural Resources, a City Councilor from Berry City, the Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Environmental Conservation, the Monitoring and Assessment Program Manager from the Department of Environmental Conservation, a Principal from Vanass Hangen Brustlin Inc., a Senior Attorney from the Conservation Law Foundation, a resident of Cabot who's a watershed specialist and wetlands ecologist, the Second Vice President for the Green Mountain Water Environment Association and Public Works Director for the town of Stowe, the President of the Federation of Vermont Lakes and Ponds, a resident of the town of Essex, the Deputy Chief Counsel from the Office of Legislative Counsel, and finally, the Senate sponsor of the bill. Madam Speaker, S223 is an important step in ensuring that our waters are properly classified and that we continue to protect and preserve our waters for the benefit of all Vermonters. It's a small bill, yet those are those of us that love it. The committee vote was 10-01, and I ask for the body's support.
And now speaking for the Committee on Appropriations, member from Underhill.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Your House Appropriations Committee reviewed S223 with Legislative Counsel and Joint Fiscal Office. As a result of a discussion, House Appropriations offers an amendment related to Section 2. The amendment can be found on page 2352 in today's calendar. The bill is amended by striking out Section 2, contingency of funding, in its entirety and renumbering the remaining sections. Section 2 relies on an appropriation to cover per diem compensation and expense reimbursement. However, it was determined that there are sufficient funds in the General Assembly budget to cover those expenses. The House Committee on Appropriations favorably recommends Senate 223 as passed the Senate and amended by House Environment and further amended by House Appropriations on a vote of 11-0-0. We ask for the body's support. Thank you.
Member from Hartford.
Madam Speaker, we appreciate the good work of the Appropriations Committee, and we look at this amendment favorably. The vote was 11-0. Thank you.
So the question is, shall the report of the Committee on Environment be amended as recommended by the Committee on Appropriations? Are you ready for the question? If so, member from Starksboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill makes sense to fulfill its narrow and specific purposes. I think it's very valid, but for too long, our regulatory and legal infrastructure has not done a good enough job at balancing our need to protect the natural environment with society's need to build many, many more homes needed to return to a spot where we are vibrant and sustainable. We have maintained conversational silos in which one perspective debates in opposition to the other. The result is that neither group becomes truly engaged in a discussion of how both perspectives, both valid, can and should be reconciled. I fear if we don't adopt a different mindset, our society and the young families and children we need to maintain our vitality and sustainability will suffer. The certificate program for wetlands professional is a good start, but in my view, nowhere near enough. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I would like to remind members we are on the appropriations amendment. So the question is, shall the report of the Committee on Environment be amended as recommended by the Committee on Appropriations? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have amended the report of the Committee on Environment. Members, there is an amendment in the calendar from the member from Berry City, Representative Booten, and it is my understanding that the member will not be offering that amendment. So now we'll turn to the amendments to be offered by the member from Newport City, Representative Page. The first assistant clerk emailed these amendments to members yesterday at 2:52 p.m. These amendments are also posted on the House Overview webpage, and paper copies are available at the main table. There are two amendments, and they would both amend the report of the Committee on Environment, and we'll take them up in the order that they would amend the committee report. So with that, we will start with the one that would amend the study group membership in section 1B. This one has the timestamp of May 1st at 8:26 a.m. Member from Newport City.
Madam Speaker, this morning I presented both amendments to the Environment Committee. The first amendment requested that there should be representation from the organizations that serve on international bodies of water within Vermont. This amendment does this by adding the Green Mountain Water Environment Association, the Lake Champlain Citizens Advisory Committee, and finally, the Memphremagog Watershed Association. I'm very pleased that the Environment Committee reviewed my first amendment, and I guess I will let the committee inform the body on its vote.
Member from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We appreciate the member's amendment. We think it was good to include members from these international bodies of water. The committee found the amendment favorable on a vote of 11-0.
So the question is, shall the report of the Committee on Environment be further amended as offered by the member from Newport City in section 1B? Are you ready for the question? Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, I just want to take a quick moment to point something out again, that I continue to notice a pattern where we have the governor or the Speaker of the House or the Committee on Committees appointing seats, and I'm just concerned that this pattern gives too much power to a few individuals. It's not about the personalities, it's about the position. In this amendment, I'll support it, but it follows that same pattern. And why would we not ask the Federation of Vermont Lakes and Ponds to have a democratic process to choose their own member, or the Green Mountain Water Environment Association having a democratic process to choose their own member? So, Madam Speaker, all I ask is that as our speaker, that our speaker consider asking these organizations to submit a recommended name using a democratic process for our speaker to ratify, and maybe in the future we can think more about how we appoint these seats. Thank you.
The question is, shall the report of the Committee on Environment be further amended as offered by the member from Newport City in section 1B? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have amended the report of the Committee on Environment. Now we'll take up the second amendment from the member from Newport City, which would amend the study group duties in section 1C. This one has the timestamp of May 1st at 8:37 a.m. Member from Newport City.
Madam Speaker, my second amendment created a great deal of discussion, and it's clear to me and to the committee that the amendment requires additional work. It is my understanding that the committee will do this additional work between now and third reading, and they will provide a much better, more improved amendment than what I created for the third reading. Finally, so what I'm going to do, Madam Speaker, is I'm going to withdraw my second amendment and leave it to the committee to work upon. But I would wish to thank the Environment Committee, the chair, and her members for their time and work on ensuring that our state's waters are safe for all of us, as well as our wildlife. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Will the House stand at ease for a moment? Member, can I see the member from Newport City at the podium for a moment? The House stand in recess for a moment. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Member from Newport City.
Madam Speaker, I request leave to the House to withdraw my amendment. Thank you.
Absent objection, leave is granted. Now the question is, shall the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as recommended by the Committee on Environment as amended? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have proposed to the Senate to amend the bill. Now the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Up next is Senate Bill 202, which is an act relating to portable solar energy generation devices. The bill was referred to the Committee on Energy and Digital Infrastructure, which recommends that the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as printed in today's calendar. The member from Weston, Representative Morrow, will speak for the committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
S202, an act relating to portable solar energy generation devices.
Member from Weston.
Madam Speaker, it's a good thing that sunshine does not flow through the Strait of Hormuz. The sun shines on our heads, on our fields, and on our solar panels. S202 is a very simple bill about a new technology that allows renters and others to participate in the many benefits of solar electric generation. Think of a solar panel with a cord and a plug. You can put it outside, plug it into an outlet, and offset your electric use. These devices are very popular in Germany and are now coming to the United States. But the German electric system and our electric system turned out to be designed quite differently. So S202 is not really a solar bill, it is a safety bill. It is a bill that protects the consumer, the building owner, and the utility line worker by specifying minimum product standards for these devices before they can be installed in Vermont. 31 states have already or are considering bills to regulate plug-in solar. I will now take you through the bill, which can be found on page 2357 of today's calendar. Section 1 amends 30 VSA 201, the definition section of Title 30, Chapter 5. It adds a new definition of plug-in photovoltaic device, a solar energy generation device that is designed to be connected to a building's electrical system via a cord with a plug and is connected to a building powered by the electric grid. This section has the important safety features of these devices, which include a feature that prevents the unit from energizing the building's electrical system during a power outage. This protects utility line workers who are trying to fix the outage. A stipulation that the devices are certified by a nationally recognized testing laboratory, such as UL, to be in compliance with the newly established standards, including protections against circuit overloading, backfeeding, and electric shocks. Specifically, it is required that these devices are plugged into a dedicated circuit with a specific receptacle or have sophisticated power control systems and/or overcurrent protection devices, including bidirectional ground fault circuit interrupters. Section 2 creates 30 VSA 256, the statute that governs plug-in photovoltaic devices. It includes the following. A customer may install one or more plug-in photovoltaic devices that meet the definition of Section 201 per electric meter if they have a maximum combined inverter capacity of not more than 1,200 watts. Plug-in photovoltaic devices shall only be connected to systems using smart meters. The device must be temporarily but securely attached to the ground or a structure. B, the installation of a device that complies with subsection A of this section shall not be required to get a certificate of public good, shall not be required to obtain an interconnection agreement with an electric utility, and shall not otherwise be subject to the jurisdiction of the Public Utility Commission. C, an electric utility shall not require a customer using a plug-in photovoltaic device to get approval before installing or using the device, pay any fee or charge related to the installation of the device, or install any additional controls or equipment. An electric utility may recover costs associated with the overloading of the service due to the presence of a plug-in photovoltaic device. E, plug-in photovoltaic devices are not eligible for net metering, and a net metering customer shall not also install a plug-in photovoltaic device. Generation exported to the grid by device shall not be compensated for by an electric utility. F, a plug-in photovoltaic device in a public building shall be used in a manner that complies with fire and building safety codes. G, no tenant shall install a plug-in photovoltaic device without the landlord's permission. A tenant shall provide at least 10 days notice to the landlord of a tenant's intent to install a plug-in photovoltaic device in compliance with subsection A of this section. The landlord shall respond within 10 days with any reasonable restrictions on the installation of the device or may deny installation. Section 3 amends 24 VSA Section 4413G to include plug-in photovoltaic devices. This statute states that towns cannot prohibit or regulate solar devices in their zoning bylaws. This bill adds plug-in photovoltaic devices to the list that towns cannot prohibit or regulate. Section 4 amends 27 VSA Section 544 to include plug-in photovoltaic devices. This statute prohibits private entities like homeowners associations or condominiums from creating deed restrictions, covenants, or similar binding agreements running with the land that prevent a property from adding renewable energy devices. This bill adds plug-in photovoltaic devices to that. Section 5 amends 9 VSA 2795, the statute that lists the appliances covered by Vermont's appliance efficiency standards. Section 6 of the list states that the Commissioner of Public Service shall include in the rules on appliance efficiency any products listed on the Federal Appliance Efficiency List in 10 CFR Sections 430 and 431, as those provisions existed on January 19th, 2017. This bill changes the date to January 19th, 2025 in order to capture updates to the list made at the federal level. These are mandatory minimum efficiency standards for appliances. Section 6 is the effective date, which is July 21st, 2026. And this bill also changes the name of the bill from an act relating to portable solar energy generation devices to an act relating to plug-in photovoltaic devices to reflect that the House Energy and Digital Infrastructure Committee changed the name of the devices in the bill. We heard from Ledge Council, Washington Electric, Vermont Electric Co-op, Department of Public Service, Underwriters Laboratory, ISO New England, Director of Government Relations and Public Affairs at ABB Engineers, Vermont Landlords Association, VPIRG, American Property and Casualty Insurance Association, Green Mountain Power, Professional Firefighters of Vermont, Brooks Engineering, Craftstrong, Plug-in Solar, Burlington Electric, Conservation Law Foundation, Vermont Gas, Appliance Standards Awareness Project, and the Vermont Public Power Supply Authority. The committee vote on this bill was 9-0-0, and we ask for the body's support.
The question is, shall the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as recommended by the Committee on Energy and Digital Infrastructure? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have proposed to the Senate to amend the bill. Now the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. The final bill on our action calendar today is Senate Bill 232, which is an act relating to public libraries and the Department of Libraries. The bill was referred to the Committee on Education, which recommends that the bill ought to pass in concurrence. The member from Richmond, Representative Brown, will speak for the committee. And affecting the revenue of the state, the bill was then referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, which also recommends that the bill ought to pass in concurrence. The member from South Burlington, Representative Burkhart, will speak for that committee. And then carrying an appropriation, the bill was then referred to the Committee on Appropriations, which also recommends that the bill ought to pass in concurrence. The member from St. Albans Town, Representative Dickinson, will speak for that committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
S-232, an act relating to public libraries and the Department of Libraries.
Member from Richmond.
Madam Speaker, S-232 is a bill about libraries and the essential role that they play in community life across Vermont. This bill celebrates the importance of libraries, contains some practical clarifications to existing statutes, clarifies the ability of libraries to seek funding from the Universal After-School and Summer Special Fund, and removes a charming but outdated term currently found in the statutes relating to the Department of Libraries. There are probably hundreds of quotes I could share about the importance of libraries to learning and imagination, community connectedness, and democracy. Since we are at the end of our action calendar, I am not going to do that, but I hope that all of us have a positive memory or story about the public library in the communities that we currently represent. If nothing immediately comes to mind, this is your invitation and reminder to visit and support your local public library. I've had the privilege of meeting and working with dozens of public librarians from all corners of the state of Vermont, and they are doing truly exceptional work in their communities. I will now turn to the section-by-section report of the bill, and members can find the bill by using the bill search function on our legislative webpage. S-232 contains a number of important findings in Section 1. Libraries are essential to our communities. We depend on them as centers for learning, social connection, technological access, disaster preparedness and response, support of healthcare and social services, and more. The programming public libraries provide to community members of all ages is impressive, but of particular relevance to the provisions of this bill, public libraries are doing really important work to provide diverse, engaging after-school and summer programs to all children free of charge. Section 2 of the bill designates the third Monday in the month of October as Vermont Libraries Day. With this body's support, that means the first Vermont Libraries Day will be Monday, October 19th, 2026. Section 3 explicitly adds libraries to the list of eligible recipients for funding from the Universal After School and Summer Special Fund. This special fund was created by Act 78 of 2024 to manage cannabis sales tax revenue allocated to after-school programming. The Agency of Education manages these funds through a grant program. Overall, $10.5 million in funding is obligated through fiscal year 2030. Under current law, libraries are eligible to apply for funding from this special fund. However, we heard testimony in committee that the current application itself and the overall process to obtain funding may pose challenges for libraries, particularly small rural public libraries with limited staff and resources. The bill therefore calls for the Agency of Education to create a simple application and reporting process that reduces barriers to grant program participation for small community-based organizations like public libraries. Also in this section of the bill, the state librarian is added to the advisory committee for the special fund, and there is an added public engagement piece to the work of the advisory committee. Sections 4 through 8 of the bill are essentially miscellaneous provisions related to libraries. Section 4 specifies that the Agency of Education may grant funds for voluntary early education programs to public libraries. Currently, AOE is not making grants through this program, but this clarification does provide that if this program were to be reactivated, public libraries would be eligible recipients. Section 5 provides that collections of federal documents that are maintained by the Department of Libraries may be maintained in a digital or physical format. So that's just a bit of general updating. This section also contains the removal of the charming term book wagon and instead refers to interlibrary loan and sharing of materials between libraries. So I am going to take a very brief detour here. One relevant fact on the topic of book wagons is that in 1922, Vermont became the first New England state to support a bookmobile, which is notable, which at the time was known as the Vermont Book Wagon. And for members who are interested in what the first book wagons look like, you can find a great article from Vermont Magazine from November of 2025, in case you're curious to see what those looked like. Section 6 clarifies that 22 VSA Section 143, dealing with the appointment of library trustees, does not apply to public libraries that are privately established, chartered, or incorporated. Section 7 does not alter existing law, but offers clarifying language to affirm that municipal bonds may be issued to support capital improvements to public libraries, including any privately owned but municipality-supported library. And the second to last section, Section 8, repeals the Audiovisual Revolving Fund because that fund is no longer relevant or in use, and there is no money currently in the fund. The effective date for this bill is July 1st, 2026, and we heard from the following witnesses in committee: the Office of Legislative Counsel, the Commissioner and State Librarian, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Manager from the Agency of Education, the sponsor of the bill, the Executive Director of Vermont After School, and the Chair of the Government Relations and Advocacy Committee for the Vermont Library Association. The vote out of House Education was 10-0-1, and we ask for the body's support.
And now speaking for the Committee on Ways and Means, member from South Burlington.
Madam Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means reviewed S-232 because it contains references to the revenues of the state. The Joint Fiscal Office has prepared a fiscal note, which is available on the Ways and Means page and on the JFO website. Currently, cannabis sales tax revenue, which is projected to be approximately $10 million in fiscal year 2027 and grow to approximately $11 million by fiscal year 2031, flows into the Universal After School and Summer Special Fund. The Agency of Education uses those funds to make grants to school districts and community organizations to fund after-school and summer programs. The bill would allow the AOE to allocate a portion of the funds to the Department of Libraries, which could then make sub-grants to libraries for summer and after-school programs. The bill also clarifies that public libraries may also apply to the Agency of Education for grants to develop and operate after-school and/or summer programming. The bill does not change how revenue is raised, nor does it require a change in how it is allocated. The bill also repeals a special fund related to postage fees previously charged by the Department of Libraries for the delivery of audio-visual materials. According to the JFO, the fund had not been used for many years, and even references to it were difficult to find. We heard from Legislative Counsel, Office of Legislative Counsel, and a senior fiscal analyst from the Joint Fiscal Office. We found the bill favorable on a vote of 9-1-1 and asked the bodies to support. Thank you.
And now, speaking for the Committee on Appropriations, member from St. Albans Town.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Appropriations Committee reviewed S-232. It's an act relating to public libraries and the Department of Libraries. There is language in this that adds libraries to the list of eligible recipients for funding from the After School and Summer Special Fund and gave the Agency of Education the ability to allocate a portion of this fund to libraries to sustain or create summer and after-school programs. Revenue for this is from the Cannabis Fund for the After School and Summer Special Fund. There is no impact on the general fund from this change. Libraries are also able to now receive early education grants from the Agency of Education. There is a repeal of the Audiovisual Revolving Fund, which appears to be no longer relevant and has no money, and there is no record of the fund having any recent activity. The committee heard from the Ledge Council, the representative of the House Education Committee, and the Joint Fiscal Office, and we approved the bill 10-01. We ask for the body's support.
So the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? Member from Georgia.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have one sister. She's 4 years younger than I am, and she trained in college to be a librarian. When she graduated from college, she came back home, and her very first job was driving the bookmobile in Franklin County. She had a bookmobile. That was a used school bus that was no longer able to be used for grade school transportation of kids. And she got a grant to get this bus redone, filled with bookshelves on the inside, and there was a way to snap the books in so they didn't fall off the shelf if she happened to take a corner too quickly. But she drove it all over Franklin County and delivered books to daycare centers and small public libraries, including the one that we had in Georgia. And she even stopped at homes there was a list of families who were entitled to have this bookmobile stop at their homes. And my sister, Debbie, worked there several years. She loved it. And I think they liked her too. And she always told me, I was teaching school at the time, she always told me how valuable she thought this bookmobile was to children who found it difficult to get out to the library during the summer and during winter vacation times, especially. The grants, I think, are still occurring. Debbie no longer works for them. She's gone on and has a great job now, but she always talks about her time driving the bookmobile, and especially the access it gave to children in rural Franklin County that they would not have otherwise had. And it sounds to me like this bill is doing a similar thing for children who are in need, who might find transportation difficult. Anyway, the more we can do for kids and libraries and adults in libraries, the better our society will be. So I plan to vote yes on this bill, and I look for your support on it as well.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Members, that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Member from Heinsberg.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I hope you join me in celebrating what the representative from Shelburne has today, the best day of any year, her birthday.
Happy birthday, member. Are there any further announcements? Member from Essex Junction.
Madam Speaker, Democrats will caucus in room 11, 10 minutes after the floor.
Member from Poultney.
Madam Speaker, House Republicans will caucus 10 minutes following floor in room 10.
Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, House Progressives will caucus at noon in room 44.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Member from Poultney, can you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Wednesday, May 6th at 1 p.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion this body stand in adjournment until Wednesday, May 6, 2026 at 1 p.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and this body